Hello again. Yesterday, I had some questions from some crafters about how I actually assemble one of my clean and simple cards. I've done lots of tutorials where I do a technique, show you the technique, and then just finish the video for people to just kind of do it. But for those people who are fairly new to card making, I thought I would just do the assembly bit of making a card. So this is the card that I made that prompted the questions. I decided that having made a technique, I think I made it up actually, but having made a technique using vellum, I wanted to mount that vellum underneath a panel of some description or frame, whatever, because vellum is notoriously difficult to attach to a card without seeing how you've attached it, because most kinds of adhesives will show through to some extent. So if you put it behind an aperture, you can attach it to the card and nobody will see how it was done. So this is what I do, so it's kind of start to finish. I start with a sheet of A4 card. I like to make my own card bases in that if I'm going to put a panel onto it, a sentiment, a separate sentiment, some white die cuts, I want the same card. If you buy card bases ready with envelopes, all you've got is the card base. You haven't got any more of the card, and you have to cannibalize some of the other cards if you want to use the same card on the front. So I always make my own. This is A4. What I often do with it, most often, is to cut it like this in half down the length, and then I cut one of those pieces into two. The long piece I'm going to use as the card base because I just like the look of cards tent folded. I think a lot of people who receive my cards get a bit cross actually, because they sometimes, if they've been sitting there for some time, start to sag. But anyway, this is how I fold them. I have done this in another tutorial with a scoring board, keeping it right to the edge. I've got my halfway place that I use most often marked with a Sharpie, so it's easy to do, and with a bone folder, score on the right side of the card. This one's got a slight linen texture. Score on the right side, turn it over, whoops, fold where you've creased, get the two corners absolutely on top of each other and burnish. So there we've got the card base. Okay, now to make a panel for that card, I'm going to use one of these pieces. And one way I often do that is with one of these. This is a double-stitched rectangular die, and I bought it at Simon Says Stamp. However, Simon Says Stamp, of course, is an American company. I'm in the UK. This card is a UK dimension card. So this actually, if I was to put this on top of there to cut a panel, you can see it doesn't fit. Look at this one. It doesn't fit. There's a bit more there. So I'll show you what I do to make the American die cut a British-sized panel. Now I'll bring my die cutting machine in a little bit closer so you can see what I'm doing. Here we are. Can you see that? It looks like it. Okay, so to start off with, I will put my die right up to one end of this piece of card. Okay, and then I'm going to pop the top on. Just make sure it's straight. I think that'll do. And I'm going to take it through the machine, part way. Let me just move this on a little bit. Part way. And now I'm going to stop. You see, it hasn't gone all the way through. Back we come. Right. Now I'm going to take the die off, turn the card round the other way. Now I'm going to find where those little teeth match. You can feel by going across that the teeth are engaged. I think I'll come back just one actually. Let's try again. That's it, that's better. Teeth are engaged. If you're not sure about it staying in the same place, you can just put a piece of low-tack tape on it and cut part way the other way and come back. So now we've got a panel that fits a British card base. Where's my card base gone? Here it is. Do you see? Easy peasy. Now, what I would like to do as well, the joy of these double stitched dies is that if you're cutting a panel, the edge will have the stitching on because of the stitches on the inside. But if you are cutting an aperture, you will also have some stitches around it, and that is because of the stitches on the outside. So the purpose of double stitched ones is so that you can get an aperture with stitches, you can get a panel with stitches. So now what I'm going to do is make an aperture in this. Now, if you're not very good at eyeballing distances, then by all means measure. If you're not sure about getting things square, then by all means use a T ruler. I can't actually see mine at the minute. Never mind. I'm going to eyeball this. Sorry, that was my head just hitting the camera. Right. That looks okay to me. I sometimes decide when I've done it that it doesn't actually look okay and I have to cut another one. Oh dear. Right. My eye is normally pretty good actually, but I do have moments when it goes totally awry. Let's move this out of the way. Now here is my panel with my aperture already cut into it. Save that, might use it for mounting something or other. Okay, we're getting there. The next bit is to put some, I like to give a little dimension, so I've put some foam tape underneath. So this is what I do here on the back. And I use the same scissors always for sticky stuff. If you use scissors that you want to cut out with for sticky stuff, you'll find that they won't cut out card neatly. So always I keep a pair for scissors. I keep it for scissors. I keep a pair for sticky stuff. I keep a pair for ribbons and things like that, fabrics. And I keep some that I like for doing cutting out. Actually, my favourite cutting out scissors are some like the kids at school used to have. They are absolutely super, and I just love those. Okay, what I'm doing here is just putting some double-sided tape all the way around this panel. Now, here are some of the backgrounds I made using the white embossing and stamping on the reverse. And what I can do here, you see, is just see what looks nice in that panel. That bit looks quite nice. quite like that there. So that's what I'll do. What I'm going to do is to take off these backing sheet pieces from the aperture, around the aperture. There we go. There we are. And I'm going to stick this onto there with the embossed side going to show through. The ink side is on the back. Let me have a look and see where I had it. So I think I like it about there. About there. That's just not quite made it. I'm going to have to put just a tiny bit more of this, because I miscalculated. Let's put a little tiny strip in right here. There we go. Let's take the end off. There we go. That's just enough to hold it. Fine. So there it is. Now I can attach that to this. So take off more of the backing pieces. Now, what I tend to do also is just to go over the foam tape with a little bit of a swipe of glue stick, and I'll tell you the reason. The foam tape sticks so well. As soon as it touches the card, it grabs it, and if it's in slightly the wrong place, I really can't move it. So if I put a bit of glue stick over the top, then it just gives me a little bit of time to be able to move it around. Okay, now what I do is this. I rest it on my two pointy fingers while I get it sort of positioned, and then let it down. There we are. Now all I need to do is to stamp a little sentiment. This is the die I used to cut that one, and if you look at it, the die is a little bit longer than the die cut. But I did, in fact, what I did, the same process as I did to make the panel, except instead of making it longer, I cut one end part way, turned it round, moved it in and made it shorter. So, a quick way to assemble a card. This one, I stamped another one and very carefully cut out that stamp. These are my scissors that I use for cutting out. They're school scissors, but they're fabulous. And there you go. So I hope that was a help, all of those who were wondering how I did it. So, as ever, thank you so much for watching.